We're living for the moment now, we're one with the world. I can't lose this feeling I get. My heart's in the right place, and so is my soul, yeah. I won't take no excuses for it. Love it, need it, live it. I feel like something's missing when I do not have it. I feel it in my bones, gotta find my space. These emotions on my face, taking a toll, I gotta pay it forward. I'll give it all that I can. No matter what, I won't let up. It's in my soul, it's in my blood, and I won't take no for an answer. If it don't hurt me, it makes me stronger. Yeah, no what, I won't let up. It's in my soul, it's in my blood, and I won't take it no more. If I won't, I will be there. Just leave it to me. I know what I need. You'll find if you see. And if you believe, you live and you breathe, you'll find the key. Lifting me, lifting you. Can't go alone, let's do by two. Doing this together, it's me by you. All through the night, all through the night. This is me, this is you. When we get together, we can all pull through. I don't ever wanna stop this groove. Let's get it right. Take it to the Lord, then take it to the grave. Listen to the wise man, tell me what he say. Listen to your heartbeat like it still bleed. A little bit of hope, yeah, it's what we still need. Say a little prayer for the moment. Give what you got, just go in. Can't hold you back if you own it. Live your life like a chosen. No matter what, I won't let up. It's in my soul, it's in my blood, and I won't take no for an answer. If it don't hurt me, it makes me stronger. You know what, I won't let up. It's in my soul, it's in my blood, and I won't take it no more. If I won't, I will be there. Just leave it to me. I know what I need. You'll find it, you see. And if you believe, you live and you breathe, you'll find the key. Know what I need, I know what I need. You find the keys, the keys.
Chasing love in an empty bar. Pour a drink till I make it past. The midnight hour seems to come and go, but I know. Walk on up with a drink in hand, sipping mixers cause you can. And all the lights begin to switch off. You're chasing the light, holding on for life, feeling the high, chasing the night, chasing the night, chasing the holding on for life, feeding the high, chasing the night, chasing the night. Hotel rooms and city squares, champagne bottles, drum and snare. The sights and cities seem to fall away when you stay. Locked in love for a night or two, losing sleep just to get a few. Day to day you wanna stay out, you're chasing the light, holding on for life, feeling the high, chasing the light, chasing the light, chasing the light.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the RCI_Racing YouTube channel, where we have a round 2 of the Porsche Cup at Laguna Seca, the Pro Split, on offer again today. My name is Ryan Gill, I am going to be your broadcaster for tonight, and joining me in the commentary box, same as last week, is Nick Setnick.
Hey, how's everybody doing out there? I'm happy to be at my home circuit, Laguna Seca, this week for the second go-around for the mini Porsche Cup race. So we'll be seeing the Pro Split being broadcast today, and really looking forward to it.
Yeah, definitely, for sure, and an interesting circuit at that.
Also in the box tonight, depending on where you are in the world, we also have Thomas Crabb. How you doing, Thomas?
Yeah, I'm doing good. Sadly, I wasn't here last week. I had other commitments and I couldn't make it to this race, but I'm finally happy to be commentating on a Porsche Cup race after watching a few of them in the past that this community has done. They're always really good, so I'm looking forward to this one.
Absolutely, and yeah, I just want to do a little recap since this is a mini championship, so it is a mini series. So the previous race last week, we were at Kyalami, our Pro Split putting on a very exciting race for us to watch in the box and for the viewers at home. Winning top spot last week was Jonas Savalainen in the 77 Porsche, putting on a impressive display and showing that he has what it takes to win it. Right behind him in second place was Jaroslav Hanzik, and in third place Samir Ibrahimi, all proving to show their skill out on the track at Kyalami, and we're hoping to see similar things here at Laguna Seca. Also in this split, we have the likes of Wolf Matushka and the Ryan Meenan brothers, which around here is becoming a crowd favorite to watch as they always put up some exciting racing. We got to see a lot of these names on Saturday as well, and at other events here at RCI. So that brings us to Laguna Seca, and I wanted to ask, since we have a little bit more time in free practice while they're just laying down some tread and warming up to the blistering heat that Laguna Seca is famous for. Ryan, who do you think is going to be taking it today?
Well, Nick, it's definitely an interesting question, isn't it? It's going to be a lot more obvious, I think, after we've had qualifying, but considering the rather dominant performance that he had this time last week, I think that you know, it's going to be brave to go with anyone other than Savalainen, but the quality that we have on here tonight is incredible. Jaroslav Hanzik, or Jardier as he's more commonly known within the sim racing community. We've also got established drivers who have competed in Porsche Cups that I've casted in the past, in the likes of Chris Hooker and Samir Ibrahimi. Of course, we have the Ryan Meenan brothers and a host of other names like Wolf Matushka. as well that I'm sure a lot of people are familiar with. So I don't know. I think tonight will probably be a lot closer than Kyalami. Jardier's going to be hoping for a much easier race this time round. Of course, he did get caught up in an incident coming out of the last corner, which did result in some damage. He lost some places, had to drag himself all the way back up the field. So yeah, Jardier's going to hope that he doesn't have to put himself through anything like that today. But I'm interested, you know, to see what Thomas thinks, because, you know, Thomas hasn't commentated on one of these Porsche Cup races with us yet, but he is familiar with some of the popular names around the sim racing community. So what do you think, Thomas?
Yeah, for sure, Ryan. I think my money is on for the consistency that has been shown off throughout other series. I would definitely go for Jardier, or Honzik, as his real name is. And just because in a couple of other series we've done, he's always kind of faltered in that first race. I think that was the same with the endurance series. They always have that incident in the first race of the championship, but he always pulls out of the bag for the rest of the championship, and somehow he ends up coming through and beating everyone when they least expect it. So yeah, Jardier's definitely got my money for this one.
Good to know. And well, I suppose if Nick's the one that has posed the question to us, you know, Nick, who's your money on tonight then?
Well, Ryan, I actually have to agree with you that there was a impressive display last week at Kyalami from Savalainen. So without anything else to work off of, seeing how he will treat Laguna Seca with the same tender love and care that he did at Kyalami, I'm sure we should be expecting an impressive display from Savalainen. But I do believe the competition will be a little stiffer over here at Laguna Seca. Laguna Seca being a tight, fast track, known for you know, those fast overtakes, where Kyalami might not be as forgiving. So, you know, we'll be seeing those more aggressive overtakes, especially in these fun Porsche Cup cars, as we actually see Honzik throw up some more dirt for us. You know, the Cup cars prove to be just fun to watch because that back end is just a little bit more loose than what we would expect out of the usual GT3 class. But it makes for very exciting racing to watch, and it really comes down to these drivers being able to handle a little bit of that looseness, but also they're all in the same car, so this really comes down to skill, it comes down to their setups, and it comes down to how they adapt to their surroundings as the car spins around at the kink there. You know, so they'll be kind of possibly dodging moving objects like that, as we saw at Kyalami sometimes. You know, these cars will turn around on them, and being able to react quickly is going to be really important for that.
And on top of what you say there, Nick, being an hour-long race, although, you know, a sprint to most drivers out there in a GT3 car with these tail-happy Porsche Cup cars, although with a mandatory pit stop, I doubt they'll be taking tyres, so they have to make these cars last all the way to the end without hitting any other persons on track, or, as you said before, it's a tight and twisty and fast circuit. You can get it wrong on any of these sausage curves on the inside, and you can also grab a wheel out on the rough surface out on the outside. Being in the middle of a desert, it does grant a lot of opportunities for you to get dirt on your tyres and absolutely get it wrong, although I don't expect to see it much from these pro guys, so let's hope that they can pull it off.
Yeah, for sure. There's going to be an element of chaos out there for sure. We always see it in the Porsche Cup races that these cars, even with the likes of the pro drivers, they are still incredibly difficult to drive. And we saw Jardier making a mistake at Kyalami. And someone I was focusing on just earlier was Zahir Esser, one of the South African drivers that we have here tonight, moving over from the South African sim racing scene into the more international scene. Of course, George will be supporting him tonight from wherever George is watching. Of course, George Smith joined us last week, considering the fact that Thomas unfortunately couldn't join us, but yeah, so George will be cheering for Zahir Esser, and Zahir Esser actually is going to be an interesting one to watch because we didn't see too much of him at Kyalami, mainly because he got removed into a wall fairly early on, you know, first corner, should we say. and he had incredible pace despite a damaged car at the back. He was making his way back up the field, unlapping himself, and he showed a real dedication to finishing the race. So I'm really interested to see how well Zahir Essa can do here. And at the moment, coming towards the end of practice, we're in the last minute now, he's sitting fourth, half a second off of Savalainen, not doing too bad for himself.
Yeah, absolutely. And and the times that we're seeing in free practice, this is after about 30 minutes of warming up the track. I would expect in the practice session that we'll be seeing something similar. As you see, the likes of Savalainen and Girardi are up at the top, only about a little over a tenth apart. So we'll be seeing how that shakes out in qualifying.
Yeah, indeed, with another 10 seconds left to go on the clock. They really do not have much time to show, to prepare themselves to show what they need to do to prepare their last bits of setup before they go to qualifying, as we actually are now seeing the checkered flag for the end of free practice. Of course, we cannot take too much away from what the free practice times are, due to some drivers focusing purely on their race pace, some drivers focusing on their qualifying pace. So even some guys are second down, do expect them to come further up to the lead. I'm hoping to see the top 15 within the second, within a second of the leader. Sorry, my words are absolutely mixed up there. And I think that would absolutely provide a perfect race around this Laguna Seca circuit.
It's a very difficult circuit to navigate, ignoring the corkscrew, as Wolf Matuszka is the one that finishes his flying lap in practice to push us forward to qualifying. Yeah, this is a pretty tricky circuit. Besides the corkscrew, the circuit does have a few other corners that can cause some rather big problems, doesn't it, Nick?
Yeah, indeed, actually. The funny bit is that, you know, Laguna Seca is known for the very famous turn 8, the corkscrew, that huge drop down into the rainy curve, but a lot of drivers actually usually fear turn 6, the little kink before the Rahal Straight on the back end, because it's just such a fast corner. It draws a lot of parallels to 130R over in Suzuka. You know, it's just a fast corner that you have to take at just, you know, all the way through the corner. You lose a little bit of speed and you just gotta plow right through it, because losing any speed there going up to the corkscrew can really cost you on your lap times. So that's just a famous little spot that a lot of the drivers always get a little bit tensed up. Even if you are a pro level driver and you've raced it 1,000 times, it just is something that shakes you up a little bit. Of course, we also have the very famous Andretti hairpin, which is technically turn 2 in the current layout of Laguna Seca. As you race up to the Rahal Straight and the corkscrew, which comes down the rainy curve as a huge drop, which always makes for some very exciting racing. And the camera angles actually over there always make it look like they're just dropping off the face of a cliff. So it's always great from the broadcasting side, honestly, to see it, because it's a interesting elevation change that you don't get to see at all GT3 racetracks. So it's kind of a nice little treat we get from Laguna Seca.
Yeah, definitely the undulations of the circuit is probably what makes it one of the most famous in America, and why it continues to serve as one of the proud IMSA and IndyCar circuits, I still believe, today. It continues to get funding, and we're glad it does, because it means we still get it in our video games. As much as we can get whatever circuits we want, you know, real life does come across into what we do. So as long as it continues being on everyone's calendars, and it continues being in our video games as well, and that is a-okay for all of us, as we actually see them go up the Rahal Straight now, as we was talking about at the start of that. Definitely a corner that separates the boys from the men there, as they have to try and take as fast as they can, but not hit the inside of that corner, as he actually completely goes over the drainage covers there, down the inside of the number 16. That is, I'm trying to figure out, that's Antilla in the number 16 car. Completely misjudges the corkscrew, and he has to kind of take it a shorter line, probably not on his fast lap at the moment, so it won't matter too much. And as he comes to the end, he will have another opportunity to set another fast time. So who do you think will set the fastest time here, Nick?
Well, I mean, like we were talking in practice, I mean, we have a lot of fast racers in this split. I would actually love to see the Ryan Meenan brothers post up some solid times. Usually when they post up in qualifying, if my memory serves me, they like to post up in the 4th to 9th range. So they're always in the top 10, posting up some impressive times, but there's always someone who sneaks it out. Actually, currently we have Essa at the 124.6 currently in pole position, but that is just an early placement. I would expect that to drop a few spots, or Essa place a new lap that's even faster. So as these lap times are going to start coming in, the 15-minute qualifying time is going to give them about 2 or 3 solid times that they get to slap down on the timing board there. And as we're actually waiting for our winner from last week to pace there. Oh yeah, Savalainen just run across the line in the 77, is currently 1.5 seconds behind Essa. So that'll be a nice warm-up lap for him as well. Yeah, this is shaking out to be pretty solid so far.
With the track conditions being so different to what we've seen in free practice, the fastest time in free practice was a 24.1. The fastest time we've just seen going now from Savalainen in the number 77, because they Porsche, but everyone's in a Porsche, so that will not help you, with a 24.3. So a couple of tenths off their fastest times. Track conditions are fast as well. I believe in free practice they are optimum. So I think the track should be a little fast now, but this cloudy conditions is really putting some of the drivers off. I think the temperatures have also changed. Will be making a big difference to the tyres if they haven't changed their tyre pressures, which you will have to do when the temperature changes. It makes a big difference to how these cars drive, especially with the little help and aid that they get from a GT3 car. That's something they will very much have to look out for, as we're actually riding on board with Essa now in the iCore Racing number 71 team. He's currently in 3rd place, 3 tenths slower than the fastest guy on track at the moment as he tries to go up to the main straight. It's not really too much of a straight, it's a bit cornery, but you do go flat as we see a car stop on the right hand side there, obviously trying to get out of the way of these fast guys as he starts to come and make his way down the corkscrew. They seem to be, he actually does it really nice and beautifully, nice and concise on his apex, and he also hits this one as concise as well. And I think he'll be definitely looking up to top 1 or 2 positions, Nick.
Yeah, definitely. So we'll be continuing to see that. Ryan, do you have any opinions so far as we get about close to halfway through qualifying?
Well, one of the things I'm starting to see is the fact that Zahir Essa, as he just comes over the line, is definitely not going to be taking it lightly, and neither is Jaroslav Honzik, who has just gone provisional pole by 42 thousandths of a second over Savalainen. So Jardier not looking to hold back at all, not that he usually would hold back. I had a bit of a difficult race at Kyalami. He's looking to make amends for that here today, but look at who is filling 5th and 6th, the Ryan Meenan brothers, and interestingly enough, it's Cormac ahead of Killian. Killian's going to want to change that fairly soon, and Cormac's probably got a nice big grin on his face at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely, and always pointing to their consistency with each other and on the track. Always posting times that are very close to each other, usually within 1 spot of each other. And when the time differences between the racers in this pro split are so close, and they still manage to be right next to each other on the starting grid, is always something that just entertains me to no end. That they can be that consistent. It just shows how much time they've put in together, to place laps on honestly every track, as Cormac actually pulls off to reset back to the pits. We're gonna jump over to Savalainen, but yeah, they stay almost scarily consistent, Thomas.
Yeah, he's pretty much hit his mark of what he did in free practice, so that those times were very relevant to what they were doing, actually. So that kind of gets rid of my argument about the track temperature being a little different, as he actually gets his tyre on the outside there, and he has to call the lap, has to put an end to that lap with 7 minutes to go. So that's a good 2 or 3 laps left that they could be putting in. But as I was saying, like, it doesn't seem the track conditions have changed too much, although the cloud has come out. So we'll try and and keep an eye on the changing conditions in game and see how that comes about. Of course, it will change again once we get to the race, as we are now watching Chris Hoker. As he is actually racing for Racing Club International, so he's one of our own in the number 99 car. As he comes up to that dangerous left-hander we were talking about again, pretty much hits that apex really nicely, gets the 2 tyres on to the white line there, so that is still counted in the game. Of course, I must say that we do have live stewards. Any cut track penalties or for speeding the pit lane will be given in game, so if they have a drive-through or a 30-second stop and go or 20-second stop and go, that is down to the game. Anything else we will tell you about during the race, as nothing has really changed at the top, and we watch come to the last corner, hits that apex nicely, drives the car out of the corner, using all of the track like you should be doing if you are a pro driver. You want to be up there with the best of them, as he moves up another place. Absolutely brilliant. A 1:24.3, Ryan.
Yeah, Chris Hoker, very, very experienced in the Porsche Cup car. In fact, he was one of the first drivers I ever saw or ever had the pleasure of casting on, actually. That was on a Zandvoort Porsche Cup race in which he had to start at the back of the grid, and my word did he put on a show for everyone. But yeah, just to mention some of the quality, you talked about, you know, what you have to do to be a pro driver around here. Let's just have a bit of a read through some of the names on here that we did mention earlier, but maybe some people don't really understand how good some of these people are. Jaroslav Honzik was racing for FFF Lamborghini in the SRO Esports Pro-Am. Chris Hoker racing for SRO Esports Pro-Am for Roa Racing Porsche, I believe it was. Samir Ibrahimi, SRO Esports Am champion in the Porsche, I believe it was. Wasn't representing any particular team, if I remember correctly. And someone actually who is a reserve driver competing tonight, Amir Hosseini for Racing Line Motorsport. I think he was competing in the Pro-Am series as well for the SRO Esports series. So, you know, top-level esports drivers that we have here tonight. So, you know, the quality that we have here tonight is no joke, guys. Some of these are the fastest drivers in ACC, esports drivers for the SRO series and such. And as I'm looking up towards the top, it's only 60 thousandths of a second between first and second.
Absolutely.
There, Ryan, it's 600ths of a second. The 6,000ths would be absolutely fantastic, though, as the leader has done a 1:24.108, and second place has done a 1:24.168. So those times could get ever closer with about 2 laps left in the tank, Nick.
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, I wanted to point to that close call from Essa actually sneaking into second place with just a 6,000ths behind Savalainen. When he placed that lap, he was up about 3/10 on his previous lap. So that was setting a impressive lap, but it is just a hair not too fast enough to beat Savalainen, who is once again proving that he is a competent racer and will be the one to beat here at Laguna Seca. We're actually riding on board with the 39 Jardier, who is currently 1/10 up on his current time, 2/10 coming out of the corkscrew. And see, that's actually going to be an excellent execution, grabbing some great speed coming down the hill here, holding on to some time. So we might see Jardier jump ahead of Essa, or even ahead of Savalainen. This is proving to be a pretty impressive one coming into the final corner. And is still holding on to that time, actually up 3/10 right now. So this is going to be enough to take pole position as they cross the line. And this will be pole position currently, a 1:23.9, displacing Savalainen by 2/10. So that's going to be in a screaming lap from him, Ryan.
Yeah, definitely is. 23.9 around here in a Porsche Cup car. Just to put that into perspective, you know, there are quite a few people that struggle to do 23.9s around here in a GT3 car with traction control and up-to-date engine specs. So that does just show you the quality that we have here today. And an interesting note with pit stops, we do have a mandatory pit stop for this race today. We had a bit of problems last week where mandatory pit stop was supposed to apply, didn't really apply. It's all been sorted now anyway, so don't worry about it. But this circuit in particular, as we just see Jardier losing it there, but recovered quite well to not go into the wall. But yeah, just a thing on pit stops. This is the shortest track within the ACC calendar. But shortest in terms of time, should I say. There is this and Brands Hatch, I think, are the only two circuits that get this low on time, but I'm pretty sure Laguna Seca is still the shorter track time-wise. So pit stops is going to play a massive part, because if you come into the pit lane and you're going to be taking tyres, I don't think many people will, but some people will, because they're not going to be confident on these cars on this circuit for 1 hour without changing tyres. You're going to lose so much time, and it's going to be so difficult to draw it all back on such a short track.
Yeah, absolutely. And the pit lane is deceptively actually pretty long around Laguna Seca, because you got to take the exit lane all the way around the inside of the Andretti hairpin turn 2. So it does kind of tuck in nicely, but it will cost you a lot of time if you have to pit, if you've ripped through your tires in the first half and decide that you need a fresh set when the tires are not required in this particular race. That is going to cost you. So that's going to be a huge layer to their pit strategies they're going to have to factor in. As we're jumping over to Cormac Ryan Meenan. Yeah, it's going to be interesting actually with.
As we seem to have lost Nick there. We'll let him continue on when he gets back. There was a couple of things I wanted to point out with 20 seconds to go of qualifying, so everyone has enough time to complete either their final lap or to try and get past time. 10 seconds to go.
Internet just crashed.
Oh, Nick, you're talking. As a couple of things I wanted to point out is in the free practice I pointed out how Jardier makes a great comeback in the second round of every championship that he's in, and I would like to say that has become absolutely true. And I also said I would love to see the top 15 within the second of the leader, and that has absolutely happened as well. So somehow things that I'm saying are just coming true, and maybe I can just make money fall out of the sky or something, Ryan.
Well, hopefully, because then we can all get a lot richer as long as you don't mind sharing it. But yeah, Jardier here at the moment absolutely flying, but he is going to come into the pit lane. He's not going to finish his final flying lap. Maybe made a mistake and has decided to call it. It is Samir Brahimi second at the moment. He's in the pit lane. Zahir Assa also in the pit lane at the moment. Wolf Matushka is up on his time, 0.2 of a second to the better, almost 0.3 at the moment. He's half a second down from pole, not going to challenge for pole position, but he could find himself up on the front 2 rows as he comes out the final corner up towards the timing line. Now Wolf Matushka will go 4th. So the man in the pink car, the pink machine, who has been going very, very well in all the races that we've had here at RCI, is doing well again. And as qualifying does come to an end, it is Jaroslav Honzik on pole with a 1:23.9, 63 thousandths of a second. Behind him is Samir Ibrahimi, and last week's winner, Savalainen, will take 3rd place in qualifying.
Yeah, it's definitely fantastic that we're seeing changes in the leading position there. Of course, they still have an hour of racing to go. We're kind of making it sound like that they've absolutely got it in the bag, but that is far from the case. I think you guys may have chosen Savalainen a bit too soon during the free practice session, but that can still come to fruition as you said, tight twisty circuit with 25 GT Cup cars. It could be one of the more spectacular races for crashes, especially with all that dirt and dust and sausage curbs on the insides. As we come with 4 minutes left to the race start, you'll see cars up on jacks, changing their setups, adding fuel to the car, making sure that they are doing everything they need to make sure that they can get to the end of the race in one piece and out on top. So Jardier Honzik, as you can actually see there, up on his jacks, or he was up on a second, I can't really see that so much now, but yeah, the top 3 was down to a 1:24.0, and the fast time was a 1:23.9, only 1/10 faster than they were doing in the free practice session with a fast track. So actually the conditions I do think made a difference a bit there, as the track temperature now is a bit higher, 32 degrees. I've actually just seen it tick up by 1, and the wind is not too bad, only 2 kilometers per hour kind of facing diagonally on the pitch straight, and it's looking like the race should be sunny. There was some talk on Discord about there being rain, as there was some on the practice servers, but I don't think that will happen. So for those that were trying to do their rain dance, I see a couple of you there. I don't think that is going to come to. I don't think that's going to happen, Ryan.
Yeah, not looking like it. The sky is nice and blue, a couple of clouds in the distance, but definitely not dark enough to provide us with some rainfall. But of course, Jesse Lee in the chat, Ovac, has pointed out that he wants us to get on to my favourite segment of each pre-race show, and that's going to be to pick your favourites for tonight. So, Thomas, I'll throw it straight back to you whilst you're ready. Who is your pick for tonight's win?
I'm going to continue going with what I said about Jardier in the free practice. He is definitely my pick. He knows how to bring it back after a kind of worse race in the first round. He knows how to win this championship. So Jardier is definitely my guy.
All right, well, Jaroslav Honzik is the pick for the Jardier community team for Thomas Crab, our commentators in the box tonight. Nick Setnik, I believe you are back now with us and loud and clear. Are you going to stick with your guns tonight and stick with Savalainen, or have you maybe seen something in qualifying that's piqued your interest and made you change your mind?
Well, I mean, as we saw in qualifying, the pole position moved around quite a bit at the end there. Which is going to prove to translate to a exciting race up at the top, the top 5 there. I mean, Savalainen had a clean win last week. That is always a impressive thing to see. You know, especially with all these high-level drivers, as Ryan cut to. You know, these are pro-level drivers. They are esports drivers, and this is the top of the top here. So it's always impressive to see if someone can just have a clean break off the start and just win the race flat out like that. That is something to definitely respect when you're in a pack of these level of drivers. So Savalainen, still holding my vote.
Well, so Nick has stayed with his pick. Last week's winner, he's still got him down to do a double here. It's going to be interesting to see how Jonas Savalainen in the 77 Cup car does. As for my pick, well, I did say to watch out for him, and he wasn't doing too bad in practice, didn't do too bad in qualifying either, had some very, very bad luck down at Kyalami, of course, his home circuit, and now that I've said that, everyone probably knows exactly who I'm going to go for this pick tonight. I've got my money on Zahir Essa. I think that the South African coming over to the States, I think he's going to show a bit of what he's got. He couldn't really show too much of what he'd had, you know, at his home circuit, unfortunately. But I think he'll have a much better race this time out. Starting 6th, or 5th rather, sorry. But qualifying's not everything around here. It is a bit difficult to overtake, but mistakes in these cars are aplenty, and they are still possible even for our top level drivers. And as the pre-race timer hits 0, it will be Jaroslav Honzik to lead us away for the start of the formation lap for this 1 hour sprint race.
Indeed. Whilst we've chosen our vehicles, I want to see in the chat what kind of who you guys are voting for, who have you come to support. So it would be nice to know who we should be kind of looking for out on circuit, depending on who you like. It's also great to get us to interact with you guys a little bit more, and hopefully not bring a bit of fan boost to the situation, a bit of Formula E fan boost there, but hopefully it will be a bit more interactive for you guys. But anyway, as we actually watch Jardier come out of the 3rd corner there, I believe they call the first hairpin a double corner, the Americans do, so I'm going to continue with that theme as they head on to one of what I call one of the first straights. So you put your foot down here. Of course they're not doing that yet as they go for the full formation lap, as we see all the colours of the different cars. It's going to be quite easy to tell who is who, even though they are in the same cars. Everyone has decided to pick quite a lot of primary colours and make them stand out, so they're not going to be hard to miss, are they, Nick?
Absolutely not. And as always, we have Wolf Matushka in the Pepto-Bismol mobile, citation pending. The always very bright pink is something that you can see from a mile away no matter what course we are running here at RCI, so that's always appreciated. As Ibrahimi is also rocking the British Racing Green and dark gold color, which is in great contrast to Jardier in the bright white and kind of a lighter blue color with that nice sheen on it, and of course Savalainen with the white and red. So yeah, our top four very distinct colors, and not easy to confuse them. And I would say out of those four, I have to say I'd like Jardier's as my famous personality trait for RCI is that I like the color blue, even though I would argue that's a little bit purple for a blue, but we'll be coming around to the first corner and we'll talk about liveries as the race goes on, I'm sure, as that's one of our favorite things to do. Coming around to start this race, and we'll see how this happens down at the turn 2 hairpin, which is always going to prove to be exciting, especially in these cars, and see how these pro level drivers handle it.
Green light, go, go, go.
And we get the green light. We're going to cut down to turn 2 as these cars go ripping into it at full speed. There's full contact. That's going to be Johnny turning around, taking out a few targets. Oh my gosh, that's going to be a huge accident. Many cars involved. I could not see exactly what happened. It looks like we got at least one car sideways, but with the pack that tight, that is going to be a huge accident. We will cut back to our stewards momentarily to see what the call is on that. Usually with an accident like that, we don't like to do dare I say restart on the stream, but that was a huge accident. Actually, yes, we are getting line in from our steward team. There will be a restart to this race. They have deemed that accident to be too extreme to let slide. So we will be broadcasting to our racers on the track that there will be a restart as we jump back to the starting grid, Ryan.
Yeah, it was a shame to see. It was Samir Brahimi and Jaroslav Honzik involved at turn 1, and of course, when it's this tight together, and this track, of course, if you have an accident through turn 1, especially if it's right at the front of the field, so difficult to avoid. The track obviously not that wide here at Laguna Seca, so it does make it difficult, but yeah, I think, right call from the stewards. There was quite a few cars involved in that. I think we didn't see all the cars that were involved. You saw a couple of them, Savalainen included, got caught up in that, unfortunately. So, yep, we'll have to have a restart, like you said, Nick. We're not too keen on doing that here, but, when you've got a case like, 8-9 cars potentially being involved in an accident at the start of the grid, not before you've even got through turns 1 and 2 properly, it's unfortunately going to force a restart. But the drivers will be warned by race control and the stewarding team that this will be the only restart they get, and obviously all incidents are looked in by our live stewarding team, as Thomas mentioned before. And, of course, it's going to be something that if it becomes a regular occurrence with some drivers, they're going to get penalties, they're going to get potential suspensions for start accidents and the like. Of course, if you are to get penalty points in a championship, I think you get double points on the first lap, especially if you're taking out multiple cars.
Yeah, indeed, and that's something those drivers will definitely... sorry, I don't know if you heard what I just said just there, because I think my microphone just cut out. But I said, yeah, that's definitely something they're going to be trying to avoid with the penalty points there. Even with a mini championship in these Porsche Cup cars, so not even the bread and butter of the ACC experience, these guys are still going to be wanting to show off what they can do, and they're going to be wanting to win the championship, especially one of the first ones that RCI have managed to put out there to you guys out in YouTube this time. So yeah, it's something that they're going to want to definitely avoid and slap on the wrist for everyone involved.
Yeah, absolutely. But it is also important to note that here at RCI we do try to keep a sort of running tally for our drivers, even up in the pro splits. We use a trust-based system around here to make sure that all of our races are as clean and professional as possible. So it's always a nice thing to keep in mind, even if it is a mini championship or a one-off race or anything like that. It's always important to kind of, keep your record clean, as it is something that we keep track of to maintain our level of standards, right?
Yeah, definitely. We obviously have a high standard here, and we did actually have a restart at the Spa Welcome Back race. If anyone here did remember back to that race, we had I think it was Mike Noble and another car had gone off at the top of Radion, and it was on the second lap or third lap, I think, as well. Everyone's so tight together, it was just impossible for anyone to avoid it. And of course, ACC has a bit of a weird system with its yellow flags at the moment. They're a bit delayed, sometimes. We saw that at, I saw that particularly at a Bathurst race that I casted, where a car had crashed and no yellow flags were shown until 30 seconds after the incident, by which 5 cars were already in the wall. So yeah, it's not great, but we do hold up to a high standard of racing here. But like I said, they'll be informed this won't happen again. There is the chance that they can get penalty points from this and warnings, and those kind of penalty points, they carry over the championship. They reset once the championship is over. But one thing that doesn't reset is the warnings. If you get multiple warnings for stuff like talking in the text chat during a race, or causing, multiple incidents, or, just being a very disrespectful driver, those will earn you warnings which do not go away. They do stack up, and if we deem it necessary, we can disqualify someone from signing up for a championship if they have too many warnings. So that is something that they have to keep an eye out, and I'm pretty sure none of these drivers here tonight are particularly interested in, getting a warning or potentially being disqualified from a championship or future events. So I'm pretty sure this time around, now that they've been told and we've seen what happened on the first try, pretty sure we'll have a much better time round on the second go.
Yeah, absolutely. And I did want to say, as we saw going into the first little kink coming at the end of the main straight, that is a tight spot, and we saw them going possibly 3 wide. I'm willing to bet that these pro level drivers will kind of adjust their driving and say, no, I don't want to get involved in that again. It's not worth throwing the entire race away to buy a couple extra tenths on the opening there. So I think we'll see a much safer approach coming up to the Andretti hairpin this time around. As was mentioned, we will not reset a second time, so if something like that happens again, we are gonna let it roll, whether that is gonna cost anyone the race or not. So so what we're hoping for is going to be a much safer approach to the hairpin at the end of the straight, and it should lead to a very exciting race, as it should allude to. This is going to be a tight course. It's going to be a lot of fast, loose-ended cup cars coming around this very tight track. Overtakes are going to be possible, but always come at some kind of cost. So with these pro level drivers, the level of respect is sky high, and something that we like to kind of reach for here at RCI. So with the second starting at the top of the 1 hour long sprint race here, I'm sure we'll be seeing a exciting race, Thomas.
Yeah, definitely. I was just taking a look at our YouTube chat, and I was just peeking at what people are saying about the restart. Yes, to some watching can be frustrating, as it may not happen as much in real life as it does in sim racing, but they are both quite different things, or their driving styles may be similar. You can't see as much as when you're looking on a monitor compared to when you're sat inside a car. The physics on collision are also very, very different compared to what they are in real life. So, and the fact that we get the option to allow our drivers to come back and race for that hour, instead of having 10 of them crash and 13 of them complete the rest of the race while the other ones kind of limp around, I think that's very good. They've been practicing all week, and I think it's a great option for us to utilize, and I think it should be utilized fully.
Well, as we come towards the final corner for the restarted attempt at the second round here of the Porsche Cup Mini Championship, it is round 2 at Laguna Seca. They come round the final corner. Jaroslav Honzik, and he's actually spun before the start of the race! Jardia has come around the final corner and he's lost the car coming out of the final corner. That means coming up towards the line, it's going to be Samir Ibrahimi who's on his own for the start of the race, and he will lead through the first corner as the start of the race is underway. And one thing I did say is that Jardia would be on the back foot after Kyalami from a rough start. He's going to be on the back foot again for a mistake coming through the final corner on the formation lap.
And that is...
Sorry, go on, Nick.
Absolutely brutal to watch that. Jardia is not having good luck with these Cup cars, posting up these impressive times, but it is not enough when there are mistakes being made, and that is going to be a brutal loss of time for him as he has to move to the back of the pack to avoid any other collisions. Looks like we've actually had a much safer entrance into this race this time around, as we're coming around to the turn 6 kink onto the Rojas Straight. Ibrahimi trying to grab some distance before the corkscrew. This is going to be really important here, as Sabline improved at Kyalami last week. Getting some distance is going to be important in these Cup cars, where any mistake can cost you or cause some contact, which is going to be a brutal thing to deal with as he's coming down the hill. Cutting back to Wolf Matushka. Pack is nice and single file currently, being very respectable, as I predicted. They'd be playing a little bit safer, make sure that they're not throwing the race away. This other pack here also kind of single filing it a little bit, maybe going a little bit wide, but no more than 2 wide, coming back to lap 2. And this is proving to be a lot more safe, even if... oh, and here we go. We got an inside pass from Bozzini, who's actually going to just give it right back up when he kicks the hairpin a little bit too wide. That is a common occurrence at that hairpin, as it is a little bit deceiving. You can kind of cut it a little bit too wide on the second turn of it, if you will, and lose that time, and that's something we'll continue seeing, right?
Yeah, for sure, and Jaroslav Honzik at the moment trying to work his way back up the grid. He dropped all the way down to 20th place for the start of the race. He's up to 17th at the moment, trying to make more places now on the second lap, but Jardia's not making this championship easy for himself. Had a mistake coming out of the final corner at Kyalami, and now a mistake on the formation lap has cost him big time. If Jardia can get back into the top 5, it will be a very good recovery. But I've got to be honest, I think a chance of a championship win in this mini cup is probably gone now.
Yeah, with halfway of the championship to go after this race has ended, he really has to pull his finger out and do something quite spectacular here. I would like to say it's been a long time since I've seen someone spin out on the formation lap, but I don't think he had any damage. I don't think he really even touched the wall. As prior the lap prior to this one we're on now, I did see someone actually lose it at that last corner as well, and smash the front of his car into that pit wall. I wasn't quite sure who it was, but not a great day for them. As we continue to watch Jardia actually kind of stuck now behind Kopf and Lawrence, Dimitrov in the 44, 171 and 7 cars. So this long line of dirty air definitely is not helping his chances, but I'd also like to say that probably spinning at the very, very beginning and being able to come back without any damage is probably favorable to losing it towards the end and undoing all of your hard work, Nick.
Yeah, absolutely. And as Jardia proved and will prove again, is he is in this race to race and is not going to give up, even if that was a hard mistake to watch, especially on the broadcast. And Savalainen coming a little bit loose out of the corkscrew there, and the battle for the podium currently, keeping it pretty tight between Savalainen and Chris Oke, but Ibrahimi proving to grab that distance that he desperately needed to secure first place, with Wolf Matushka leading this particular line of cars, but Ibrahimi is nowhere to be seen at the moment, and that is what he wanted, and that's going to prove to be advantageous, actually.
I was just going to say, Nick,
I'm a little bit confused.
I don't mean to
Ibrahimi is not
interrupt
on
you.
the timing screen.
He has, yes, you are right, Thomas. That's just, I think we all just realised that at the same time, in fact. I think that Samir Brahimi has disappeared off of the timing board, and I can only assume, because, yeah, he is showing us an error on the broadcasting tool, I can only assume that's a disconnect on his end.
Yeah, that's my gosh. I was talking this up, and then we all make that realization at the same time. That is gosh, I really hope that is not a technical issue, as that would be pretty devastating at this point. We saw Jardia spinning out in the formation lap, but losing Ibrahimi when he was in first place to a technical error or something that we might have missed on the broadcast would be equally devastating. So as it stands currently, Wolf Matushka actually holding on to first place with Savalainen right behind him. So that is currently your podium battle.
Yeah, and just something I wanted to mention is that we did ask some people who they're going to be rooting for tonight. A couple of people saying they're cheering for Savalainen, and it was Jesse Lee, in fact, one of our fellow commentators. Oh, we just see someone getting all out of place as Jardia makes up another place. It was Jesse Lee that actually said his money was on Samir tonight for a win, and well, I think the curse of Jesse Lee continues even when he's not in the comments box.
Actually, just want to confirm from the YouTube chat, our stewarding team does want to possibly confirm that. So Jesse Lee, one of our great commentators on our commentating team, might be dishing out that commentator's curse even from afar, proving what his skill set always proves to be while we watch these races go around. Heading back to Wolf Matushka, still dodging a 21 Porsche, possibly entering back onto the course, coming down corkscrew. Matushka probably not expecting to be in first at the moment. With Ibrahimi seeming to disappear in front of him. But that fight is going to be in his favor currently, as Savalainen is actually coming up to challenge him a bit here. And that fight is not going to let up. I don't think Savalainen is going to let this race sneak away from him. He got that solid win last week, and he is not going to let that make him lose this race by any means.
I don't think having Savalainen behind Matushka is going to worry him too much. Matushka is one of those drivers, as well as being fast, he also has this uncanny ability to stay out as much trouble as possible, and he gets these results by just keeping his nose clean. So even if he does, and I may expect that he doesn't put much of a fight up to the number 77 car, he will definitely be there for the end of the race, especially after he's completed his mandatory pit stop, Ryan.
Yeah, I can definitely vouch for the likes of Wolf Matushka staying out of trouble and just making up places by being there and also being quick. I remember a 6-hour Nürburgring race in ACC that I had the pleasure of commentating on. He went from the back of the grid to win the race. I know it's a 6-hour, it's an endurance race, it's a long way to go, but that is a feat no matter the race, if you can go from the back of the grid all the way to a win. And that's exactly what Matushka's team did back in that race. So yeah, he's not going to be too concerned about Savalainen. He actually got past Savalainen. If you remember, he started the race just behind him after the first lap. So Wolf Matushka did get past Savalainen. We're not sure if that was a mistake or a legitimate overtake, but Savalainen has started to find his pace now.
Absolutely, and just while we're still talking about recovery, Jardier fighting his way up to 11th place already after just a couple laps. We're not even 10 minutes into this race, and he is proving that this race is not over for him. He's actually jumped up to 10th as I made that comment. So the fight in Jardier is going to be terrifying come about midpoint of this race, where he's fighting back into the top 10 or even possibly the top 5. Proving just the level of skill that he has to recover from that early mistake.
we definitely have more opportunity now. The cars have come apart a bit more instead of being the long snake lines that we were seeing in the first like 5 minutes of the race. With 10 minutes, with 50 minutes left to go, they have split up more, so the dirty air is lessened, and there's an opportunity to use a bit of the hard braking zones to bring your car up in the inside and actually make the place without hitting the guy in front of it. Might be a little more difficult with Gartland and Antilla in front of them, the number 101 and 18. He's only 5/10 behind, and he'll probably be making that up in the last sector, as we actually watched the first brother of Ryan Meenan trying to stick close behind the number 23 to Jardier, just trying to, you know, once the faster guy passes you, once you try and learn as much as you can and see if you can gain some positions on the guy around you, just by using their tactics. As we actually see, I believe that is Gartland coming to the pits now, the number 101. Not sure if he has any damage or anything, but he possibly sees that Jardier is behind him, wants to get out of the way, as well as making time up in the future, getting his mandatory pit stop out of the way, Ryan.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be an interesting strategy. A lot of people do like to go for that early pit stop, maybe get out of traffic and maybe not have to worry about some faster people behind you fighting for position. Ryan Meenan, sorry, is going to stick on the back of Jardier, though, as we see a mistake. I think, is that the number 12? That's actually Cormac Ryan Meenan. That is Killian's brother, and Jardier is going to look to capitalise on that now. Cormac was running in 5th place, doing an absolutely fantastic job, and now he's got to defend from Jardier. Not entirely sure if that was a mistake from Cormac or if it was some kind of incident. I'm sure if it was an incident, we'll get news from the stewards, but this has brought Killian into play now, as Cormac is holding up Jardier. And as someone who has raced Cormac myself, especially around Laguna Seca, I followed this guy for 50 minutes around Laguna Seca. We were both in the Ferrari. It was impossible to get past him for me. And I don't think it'll be impossible for Jardier, but Cormac is not going to make it easy. This guy is brilliant at defending.
Absolutely.
Oh, sorry, go on, Nick.
Actually, I just wanted to cut to the front. There's been a huge change of position. Wolf Matushka making some mistake that I missed. Hopefully see that later, but he's actually down to 6th place, and Savalainen is securely in 1st place while we've been watching the Ryan Meenan brothers kind of battle with Jardier back here. This has proven to be a exciting bit of racing, but that change at the front is also a huge development, as we actually might be seeing the Ryan Meenan brothers catch up to Matushka, who's currently in 6th. I did want to comment, it looked like the Ryan Meenan brothers were kind of like surrounding Jardier for a moment, kind of like a pincer maneuver. I don't know if that was what they were going for, just kind of what they ended up in, where they were trying to cut that streamline, trying to steal some speed off of each other. But that was, you know, showing how consistent the Ryan Meenan brothers can be with each other. And as Jardier has actually managed to get past them a little bit and is now looking at the back of Antilla in the 7th position, I would not be surprised if we see Jardier sneak into the top 5 within the next 7-8 minutes.
Yeah, Jardier's definitely going to have his way up the grid sooner rather than later, especially if people are going to start making mistakes. But speaking of, look at this here, the battle for 2nd place at the moment. Chris Hooker, Zahir Esser, Krzysztof Makowski, and soon to be Amir Hosseini as well. You can just see the black and red Porsche Cup car in the background. He's catching up to this little pack here, so this is going to get interesting. We've got battles with Jardier obviously trying to work his way back up the field. The Ryan Meenan brothers going at it as well, and now potentially a 4-way battle for 2nd place. These Porsche Cup races do not disappoint.
Definitely not, but this battle definitely gives the Savalainen, the leader, is going to continue growing his gap, as actually Jardier has got past Antilla in the number 16 car, and he's pulling away. He's got half a second gap on his ready, and as you said in the free practice, the brothers are definitely going to give us a show, as both the Meenans are in 9th and 10th position, as they are slowly catching Antilla ahead of them. So this soon will become a 3-way battle for 8th, 9th and 10th place. race. Even though they qualified in a few positions apart from one another, these two brothers, the fact that they have managed to catch up and are having a little battle now has been really good. I do wonder if they were communicating a little bit when one of them had Jardier behind them, trying to slow him up to get the other brother back past. You know, a bit of inter-brother rivalry there, as well as teamwork will be coming into play. Definitely, Nick.
Yeah, definitely, and that's something that we've seen from them. There's a definite link between the two brothers, as they always end up pretty close to each other, working together, working against each other. The rivalry will never rest, at least for RCI in the comms box and for our fans. That is something that we always like to look forward to, as they are continuing to close that gap on Antilla in front of them. In the 16 Cup car. Moving around here, Jardier is just ahead of them, but also trying to pull away with a pretty big gap up to Matushka in 6th place. So once Jardier is clear of that battle for 8th place behind him, he's going to have some ground to catch up to Matushka. But that is going to be some clean air for him to race in and just, you know, play the track and be the fast racer that he has obviously proven to be, fighting his way back up this grid. He's got to have a fire in him, you know, with that early mistake. That's got to be a huge blow to you know, just his driving pride. And he is not going to let that deter him from getting into the top 5 and still fighting for this race, Ryan.
Yeah, and just something I've noticed, a few people talking in the Twitch chat saying Jardier has asked quite a few people to come check out the RCI stream, so thank you very much, Jardier. We do appreciate all the support. We're so glad that he enjoys coming and racing here, and he's going to put on a show for us. He's 6 seconds behind Matushka at the moment, but he will be closing them down soon as we see Killian having a look at his brother Cormac Ryan Meenan. And Thomas mentioned that these guys could be in comms. I can tell you that they definitely are in comms during the race, because Cormac had a bit of a weird moment with his camera during the his camera perspective during the previous race at Kyalami, and it was great to see Killian's reaction to what Cormac was describing to him. But up towards the front, Chris Hooker 5 seconds behind the leader Savalainen, but Sahir Essa half a second behind, keeping him honest. As we look down the rest of the field, there is a penalty for the number 22 car. Thomas, would you happen to have any information about that?
I definitely do. This penalty is a drive-through for car number 22. It's for an unsafe rejoin. There will be further warnings and there's further warnings for constant spinning on track. And if he continues to cause the issues, there will be a disqualification. On top of that, for Sabria Abrimi, that was a computer crash for him.
Yes, indeed, and again, technical issues, that's nothing that we ever want to hear here at RCI, but it is something that we have to deal with sim racing. We chalk it up to it being a parallel to a mechanical error that a real-life driver would experience. Again, it's something that we don't like to see, but it is something that happens to shake up the standings for the race, as Savalainen is just securing that lead as he got past Matushka after the mistake that he made that made him drop 5 positions at some point in the first set of 10 minutes, and is just proving once again that if he gets that gap and is able to secure first place, it is going to be really tough to catch him, even with the super high level drivers that are behind him. Chris Oke currently a little bit vaguely under fire from Essa for 2nd place, and Essa securely in 3rd place. So our podium is currently pretty well shaken out, but again, anything can happen.
Yeah, definitely so. And as we keep looking back towards the Ryan Meenan brothers together again, Killian starting to, well, I'm pretty sure he's very familiar with how well his brother defends, but I think now he's starting to get under his skin a bit. It's great to see this this kind of rivalry in sim racing. We talk about, you know, sibling rivalries that we see in real world motorsport. Well, it's great that we can get it in the sim racing world as well. Interesting to note what you did say there, Nick. Krasuka significantly behind Savalainen and a bit under fire from Essa as well. That gap now down to 0.4 of a second. But it's getting interesting all across the field at the moment. Jardia starting to close in on Amir Hosseini, so that battle for 4th place could be 4 cars within the next couple of laps. Jardia has closed the gap by about 2.2 seconds over the last 2 laps.
Yeah, of course, the closer to the pointy end of the grid that he gets, the harder it is for him to catch up and make positions. These guys are going to be on a kind of level that he is. Not saying that the rest of the guys around him are slower, but he is definitely one of the top guys here in the pro class. So that's nothing to be ashamed about. If you are one of the lower guys in the pro class, you're still pretty quick. And of course, we enjoy everyone that comes and joins us in this pro class. And of course, the 2 other splits, we have the pro am and the am class. We've still got a few other drivers that you're not seeing in this split, so it's nice to have everyone here and joining RCI for their racing needs, especially on ACC, as that is what we're doing at the moment. As we actually now look at Hoka in the number 99 coming up to the first corner with Essa right up behind him. So as you were saying, you know, the driver from South Africa definitely pushing himself onto the international market, and it's working well for him here. If he finishes with a podium finish, that will not only work well for his championship standings, but it gets his name out there, and he will start becoming more noticeable as these guys in 1st, 2nd, 4th, 5th, 6th place. You know, these names that we know week in, week out, and he can definitely be one of those guys if he continues doing what he's doing, Nick.
Yeah, absolutely, and continuing to put the pressure on Chris Hoke, this being one of the many battles actually on the field. We still have the battle for 8th place between Antilla and both of the Ryan Meenan brothers. Actually getting a penalty just slid across the screen. I didn't quite catch the number, but I'm sure we'll get that. Oh, sorry, it was a 5-second penalty for Hosseini in 6th place, which is going to benefit a Jardier, who is fighting his way up the pack no matter what it takes. I did not see what that was for, but a 5-second penalty is usually a avoidable contact that might not have cost too much time, but was something that the stewards deemed was aggressive enough to deem a small time penalty. So that is going to only benefit Jardier, as he is going to continue fighting his way up into the top 5.
Yeah, it is, and just something that Thomas mentioned about Zahir Essa, you know, putting himself up there and getting his name known out there. I've had the pleasure over the past couple of weeks of being able to join George Smith, who was commentating last week on the Porsche Cup Kyalami with us. I've had the pleasure of joining him to see some of the South African drivers that are starting to build their way up and starting to focus on the more international stage of sim racing and ACC in particular. So it's really nice for me to be able to see some of these guys coming up, and they're going to be names that I'm going to recognise when they do start showing up at events like these. And Zahir Essa is just the first in a long line of really, really great South African talent. So it'll be really cool to see them come over to the international stage, to see Kilian Ryan Meenan struggling to keep up pace with his brother Cormac, who is still hunting down Iro Antilla. We have seen a swap between Jaroslav Honzik and Amir Hosseini. Amir Hosseini obviously having that 5-second time penalty. Not entirely sure if Amir just let him past or whether it was a mistake, but Jardier is now up into 6th, 1.3 seconds behind Makowski, so he's going to be closing him and up to 1 second now as we come to the timing line. So Jardier is on the verge of a top 5, and he'll only go up from here.
Yeah, I did want to just update real quick. Car 123, the 5-second penalty was for a dive bomb that led to a position lost. So that just shows our steward team is on top of it and handing out those time penalties where they deem fit. And a dive bomb is a dangerous race maneuver that we like to discourage. So that is what that penalty was for.
Yeah, and just something I've noticed on the side of the screen there, Nick, is that number 22 I think that is Alexander Doricott, has actually received a disqualification from the stewards. Now, this was, of course, a driver that had already received a drive-through penalty for an unsafe rejoin and has already received warnings for being a hazard on track. Well, the car has now been disqualified, and the reason that we're getting that he has been disqualified is because he force returned to the pit lane from track without, so rejoined via the menu, back to the pit lane to attempt to serve his mandatory pit stop, and that is of course not allowed. You have to take your pit stop the normal way. You have to come into the pit lane entry, stop in your box, serve your pit stop and go back out. You cannot just teleport back to the pit lane whenever you feel like it. And considering the warnings he's already received, the stewards team have deemed that he is worthy of a disqualification. So big shame for Alexander Doricott, but that's the update on that, if anyone did catch that disqualification on the side of the timing board.
Yeah, it's a very odd one, that with Doricott, because I have commentated a few races with him in where he has been, around the top 10 and such like that. So it seems a bit odd to me that he has struggled so much during this race, and I wonder whether there has been a technical issue on his side, or whether frustration managed to get the best of him, and he was trying to get to the end of the race, but he ended up being, I think, 3 laps down by the time that this all happened. So possibly frustration getting the best of him, but being so far down, and especially when he could have been so much higher. So yeah, it's very, very sad to see that happen, but he'll definitely come back with a fighting spirit for the next round.
Yeah, absolutely. It's something that we don't like to see, but is something that we will do to maintain the quality of the race. As we actually see Jardia going for the pass here, that he's been working towards to get around the car number 13, going side by side up the main straight, going into the hairpin. We'll see how this shakes out in just a moment, but Jardier is going to continue fighting for positions just like this. He's going to attempt to actually get a little bit of contact there as he comes around the hairpin, try to take the inside line, and was just a little too tight for that pass, as they are still side by side swinging through these turns, and Jardier is going to take the outside and actually get a little bit ahead of him, and is going to lead through this corner, and I believe that is going to be a bit of a pass. I mean, this is going to be side by side for a while, but as we get back up to the kink on the back straight, I think this will shake out. But this fight is super intense, and this is terrifying in these cup cars, because if we come to this kink, this is going to be a fast corner, and any small mistake can cost it, actually. And it looks like the 13 is going to take a step back, saying that is not worth throwing the whole race over, as that is a very dangerous corner to attempt anything as they come to the corkscrew.
Yeah, incredible racing from both Jardier and Makowski there. A little bit of contact, but of course nothing lost there, and no significant gains either. So great to see that. Jardier up into the top 5. We have had a few people come into the pit lane. We saw Garland go in very early for his mandatory pit stop. Well, Antilla, Amir Hosseini and Louis Alexander have all gone into the pit lane as well, although Louis Alexander is showing us 3 laps down, or 2 laps down now. So I would think that car is probably not going to make its way any further up the field. But looking up towards the top, it is still Savalainen that leads. He has a significant gap on Chris Hooker, but Zahir Esser is still sticking with the RCI International car from Chris Hooker, and I think it's probably going to stay like that for the rest of the race unless we get significant issues in the pit stop, as Jardier now coming up to some traffic, which moves out of the way very politely to not get involved in this battle.
Yeah, that was Louis Alexander who was just talking about the number 66 in that 666 in the grey coloured car, and he's using his indicators to full effect just to make sure that the cars overtaking him knows which way he is going and where they can overtake, like limiting the amount of impact they have on their race and on his. Of course, he's going to plod around until the end of the race, because that is what you do when you take part in an RCI race. It helps you to become trustworthy, and of course anything can happen. Even though you're 2 laps but down, the guy ahead of him, Barrier in the number 72 car, is only 1 lap down, now 2 laps down. So of course you can gain positions at the back not much of what you really want to be doing once you're racing around in our leagues, but sometimes it can happen, and it's always very commendable to watch everyone go around as we continue to watch Essa, who's actually dropped back a little bit on Hoka in the number 99, and Hoka has actually gained a 10th on that lap to the leader, so not much, but it shows that they are gaining on the people in front of them, or at least Hoka is. I think Essa has been losing a bit of time as he gets a little bit squirrely going into that corner, as they seem to be following the very similar lines there into each of their corners, so I see where their speed is coming from. Of course, these cars need to be looked after to make sure they get the best line in and line out of a corner. It's not quite like a GT3 car where you can plant the throttle and let TC take over and get out of there as fast as possible. These cars definitely take a bit of finesse to make sure that you're getting everything you need as they go up the second straight up to the corkscrew. Essa is again losing more time, under over a second now. If this was Formula 1, he'd be out of DRS range. So I don't know if Hoka will catch the leader by the end of this race, but I do think that if he doesn't make a mistake, he will get second. But of course, we still have mandatory pit stops to play their part, Nick.
Yeah, absolutely, and those mandatory pit stops are going to start coming into more effect as more people take them, as we're getting very close to the halfway point of this 1 hour race around Laguna Seca. We're here with the Porsche Cup cars for the second race in this mini championship. We're continuing to watch the battle for second place currently, Chris Hoke and Essa. Essa trying to battle for that space, as he's not going to let up on Chris Hoke, but that pace is going to be tough to keep up with. Jumping over a little bit to lap times currently to see how they're doing against Savalainen ahead of them. Savalainen's actually down a little bit on his current lap, and his couple previous laps, Chris Hoke gaining on Savalainen by less than a tenth. We're talking a few thousandths, so that kind of pace, even with this level of driving, is going to be tough to keep up with, and the pit strategy is going to come into full effect to see where that shakes them out. Hoping, this is possibly Chris Hoke and Essa looking to kind of fight for first position rather than just letting him run away with it, as Felix said, grab some dirt from 17 and ahead of him. The track proving to be a track that will fight back, especially in these cup cars. And there's various battles scattered across the grid currently. The battle for 8th place that we were talking about a little bit with the Ryan and Mean brothers has shaken out quite a bit. That all smoothing out with Cormac ahead of his brother Killian by a couple seconds now, so that will be calm going into the halfway point.
Yeah, definitely, as we are watching Felix and Lawrence, some guy who I've been commentating a lot on, especially doing some of the older comms stuff. Lawrence is someone I used to get his name wrong all the time, so now I know how to say it every time correctly in the 171 Porsche Cup car. He's 3 seconds behind the car ahead, which is one of the brothers, Ryan Meenan. I think that's Cormac, I think he said it was before, and he is in 7th place. But Lawrence is managing to keep a good distance away from Felix, as Felix is making a little bit of mistakes here and there that is keeping their distances apart. I think if he just tightened up his lines a little bit and made sure it was a little more finessed. Of course, I'm saying this not in their shoes. I don't understand the conditions. I'm saying this from the comms box in the comfort of my own home, as we actually jump back to Matthias in 11th place in the number 256 car, still to complete his mandatory pit stop, as well as all the cars ahead of him, down to Verst down in 14th place in the number 45 car, as he has the 12th place of Kampf in the number 7 car coming up behind him, now only 5/10 behind. And with all these nice little tight braking zones and tight corners up to the end, he's possibly going to get close enough to lunge on the next lap, Ryan.
Yeah, potentially. So the gap's starting to close up. Of course, quite a few people going into the pit lane. Killian Ryan Meenan has actually now gone into the pit lane. He was about 1.5 seconds back from his brother Cormac, so Cormac wins round 1, but we're going to have to see where it lies at the end of, come towards the end of the race, of course, because Cormac still has a pit stop to do, so it's going to be interesting to see if he still comes out ahead or whether Killian can undercut him with the pit stop. Wust and Wust having a go at each other as well. There's just half a second behind these two. Steven Vust in 13th place in the number 11 car. And then, is it Dustin Vust? Yep, in the number 45 car just behind him. So that's incredibly good to see. Two people really, really close here together again. Very much similar to the Ryan Meenan brothers. And as I look towards the top of the field, it's started to spread out a bit now. Some nice gaps there between everyone. Obviously, we would like to have some closer gaps so that we could see some battling, but it's also nice to have a look down the field for the drivers that maybe don't get all the attention when things start to go quiet. But speaking of things going a bit quiet, we do love to talk liveries here, and now that we have a bit of a chance to do so, Nick, I always love to put you on the spot. What do you think of the two liveries that the Wusts have got on tonight?
Well, I have to say that purple with the highlighter yellow kind of border around it with the horizontal stripe is very striking. It's something that definitely grabs your attention. That purple looking, kind of electric with that tone to it. But obviously the lime green on Dustin's Cup car is also eye-catching as well, with just a splash of purple on the mirrors. I think those are both solidly tasteful choices. Yeah, we do like to talk liveries around here because color palettes is something that I can do less than post these lap times that our pro level drivers can do. I like to kind of casually, as Worcester actually goes pretty sideways there and kind of bursts around the car that was in front of him. Look about rough pass, but it was done and done. As these Cup cars, that's kind of how they treat little jerky steers like that. So yeah, as we like to talk about liveries, coming back over to Felix, this eggshell white, I would say. It's a simple design, maybe like a classic look. This is something you'd see maybe at like a car show or something like that. It's a safer paint job, but it's something that also looks really good. Thomas, any opinions?
Yeah, I definitely agree with the fact it looks like a bit of an Italian kind of job with the, I thought it was tricolour, but definitely it's the white in the centre, as Felix is looking out on the, looking up on the outside of Lawrence in the 171 there. He's within 3/10 over the line, so that is only going to get closer now. He can pretty much sniff and touch the exhaust of that Porsche in front of him. And again, both of these drivers getting closer to Cormac Ryan Meenan in the number 12 car in 7th place. So these guys, although not quite at the pointy end, they are still within the top 10 and posting some incredible lap times. And actually, I would like to point out that our driver in first place and most of the grid has now completed 25 laps with just under 25 minutes to go. So that is some amazing average miles per hour that they are putting on these cars here. I don't think I could even do it in a GT3 car, let alone one of these cars. Maybe I could do it in a Group C car or something, a bit more horsepower, but definitely not these cars. I'm not one of the fastest guys out there. But definitely with this livery, I'd like to go back to the other livery as well. The kind of lime green, it very much reminds me of the old Porsche liveries that they used to run at the Nürburgring 24. Those were very, very nice. I think they deemed them Grello looking cars. They weren't for everyone, but I definitely like them indeed, Ryan.
Yeah, I think the 70th anniversary of Porsche racing or something along those lines that we did see at the Nordschleife 24-hour last year's, lime green and highlighter colours aren't exactly to my taste, but I will say that those Porsches did look quite striking indeed and very noticeable as well, which I think is, mainly the main point about liveries, and we talk about it a lot. A livery says a lot about who you are, the kind of livery that you design. Are you Mike Noble, who tries to make, the world's most confusing and potentially disgusting liveries, but he enjoys them, and you can't miss them, that's for sure. Or are you someone like Felix, for example, who this livery, which, like you said, Thomas, really, really Italian classic car. This kind of looks like. This seems like the kind of livery you'd see on an old touring car, or something that you'd see in the rally stages from years ago. So yeah, it's really cool to see all the different liveries we have on here today. And as I'm looking down the leaderboard at the moment, Zahir Esser starting to close back up a bit to Chris Hooker, 0.7 of a second now the gap, as Felix jumps into the pit lane after following Lawrence for so long. He's probably decided, you know what, it's better if I go into the pit lane, see if I can undercut him, and let's see how well that works out for him towards the end of the race.
I think that was an absolutely brilliant move there from Felix, because he was definitely faster than Lawrence ahead of him in sector 1 and 2. In that third sector, Lawrence was pulling away, and it was why he could not get into the position to pass him for the rest of the lap. So definitely coming in and using that speed advantage you have to overlap him when he does his pit stop is definitely the way to go. I fully expect all of our drivers to come in within 15 minutes from around now. You want to be coming in about 5 minutes before the end of the race. So if you do come into the pit lane a bit too fast for the game's liking, and you have a penalty, you have the chance to take the penalty and not get an even larger penalty at the end of the race, and that will absolutely ruin your day, Nick.
Yeah, absolutely. And as we're getting into the last third of the race here, the last 20 minutes of this 1 hour race, the top 12 have still not come into the pit lanes. Again, there is no requirement for the pit stop. You just have to pull into the lane and into your stall. But as we see with the top 12, and actually as you can see with the time changes, we saw Ryan Meenan pull into the pits. And that's the kind of time that you would expect to lose as you pull into the pits. Obviously, every car has to do it, but that might play into your strategy. Maybe you're tied up in a battle that you feel like you're losing, or you're just tied up in a battle that you don't want to be in at all. You pull into the pits and you're in a completely different spot on the track. With these tighter, smaller courses like Laguna Seca, it puts you in a completely different spot in the pack. So it's a battle that you can go pick and choose, as we see a couple more people pull into the pits as well. Essa, again, closing in on Chris Hoke, but that gap is fluctuating constantly as Chris Hoke proves to lay down some very fast times. Actually, his last lap time ahead of Essa was up 0.5. So that is the kind of driving that we're seeing out of Chris Hoke. Battling for second place, Essa is going to have a lot of ground to fight for.
Yeah, as we look now towards Jardia, who is closing in on Wolf Matuszka, the pink Porsche Cup car up front, being hunted down by Jaroslav Honzik after an incredible recovery, it has to be said, all the way down to, I think it was about 19th or 20th on the first lap because of that unfortunate spin on the formation lap coming around the final corner. It's been a great recovery though, and he's looking to potentially take 4th place, and with the amount of time left in the race, a podium is not out of Jardia's reach. It is definitely possible. It's going to be difficult, but if there is any man on the grid you would put down to potentially bring this back for a podium finish, Jardia would be your pick.
Definitely a podium from a spin before the green flag even fell would probably be more memorable than leading it from the front and finishing from the front. So absolutely fantastic racing from Jardia, and in fact I think he gained 3/10 on the car ahead of him on that last lap, as he gains another 10th in that sector. So I believe he was 2.1 seconds behind the end of last lap. He's now 1.7 seconds behind Matuszka now. So Matuszka was doing brilliantly well at the beginning, but that contact definitely didn't help him. Now he's down in 4th with Honzik catching him again. Matuszka gets up into these positions because he keeps his nose out of trouble. As we actually watch Jardia go very wide there, you can tell he's definitely pushing this car to the limit. I wonder if it's worth him cooling off the tyres a little bit by coming into the pits, not wasting time behind Matuszka trying to overtake him on track. These are some things that he'll definitely be thinking, whilst at the same time talking to his own subscriber base, and at the same time posting some of the fastest laps that we're seeing so far, Nick.
Yeah, absolutely. And the pit strategy is going to come into play very soon here. I would reckon Thomas was right that within the next 10 minutes or so, we will see those pit strategies kind of come to fruition. as Jardier is going to continue pushing on the back of Matushka. That gap is closing smaller and smaller, down to 1.4 now. On the live time updates. The pit strategy here is going to be interesting because they all have to do it. Everybody in currently the top 7, as we just saw Lawrence enter the pits and clear his mandatory pit stop. These times are going to shake up, and the timing board's going to look a little wonky for a second, but when it resets and everyone is to where they should be on the timing board, we'll definitely see where Jardier ends up. Again, podium is totally within reach. He has been pushing super hard this race, arguably harder than anybody else on the track, because of that early mistake, showing that he's got something to prove. He's not going to lose this race just because of that, and has made the most movement out of any other driver on the course. So this will be very exciting to watch as we enter the last 15 minutes of this race around Laguna Seca today.
Yeah, and as you say that, Nick, Savalainen, Chris Hooker and Zahir Esser all into the pit lane. And Savalainen has actually finished his mandatory pit stop and he's back out on track. Chris Hooker has finished his mandatory pit stop. He's on his way out of the pit lane at the moment, and he has just now hit the pit exit. And Zahir Esser still serving his stop, so I'm guessing Zahir Esser may be taking a bit more from his pit stop, potentially taking tyres for the South African, maybe not confident that his tyres can get him to the finish. And it has to be said that the tyres on Jardier's car have to be suffering. 45 minutes of non-stop pushing. Those tyres are going to be screaming for help, and he's gonna have to come into the pit stop soon. I don't see Jardier taking tyres personally. I just don't see it being worth it for him. If he wants to get a podium back from this, he's probably not going to do it, and he's half a second onto Wolf Matuszka at the moment, who is the provisional leader because of the top 3 pitting. And I get the feeling that Wolf Matuszka's not going to be keen on being behind Jardier. But as I say that, Jardier does come into the pit lane. He's not going to bother about fighting Wolf Matuszka. He's going to get his pit stop out of the way at the moment, as we actually see someone spun on the start-finish straight, and I think, yes it was the number 23 of Kilian Rainaminen, all the way down in 17th. Kilian has not had a good race so far today.
No, indeed not. Well, he's been in a few battles here and there with his brother, definitely having a good battle with Jardier, who's managed to make his way up to the top. And so I wouldn't say he's had a horrendous race in his own racecraft. I think he's been a bit unlucky, of course, to drive these cars as fast as these guys do. You're absolutely pushing their cars to the limits, and the difference between getting it right and getting it absolutely horribly wrong is just a knife edge. I don't think I would have ever got that far. So to me, these cars are quite stable and fun things to drive, but for them, I imagine the tires would be screaming, and your inputs to the car are just insanely quick. As we actually are now looking at Honzik, he has been in and out of the pits, and you can tell that by the green little square next to his car numbers. There's only 3 cars now that need to come in, and that is the number 25 of Wolf Matuszka, 13th of Maxkowski, I believe that is, and the number 11 of Wurst. So only 3 more cars now, so no chance of Wurst getting on Honzik's back, so he is only looking forward, especially with Hook in front of him, and possibly for Honzik, he's looking for the 2 guys in first and second to not come back out in front of him.
I'm very sorry, Thomas. I do not mean to interrupt you, but I have just noticed something on the time board. Savalainen has disappeared. The race leader has disappeared. Now, we're not entirely sure what that is. We will update you as soon as we get any information about that. But Savalainen has disappeared. What this means now, Chris Hooker will take the lead of the race. Wolf Matuszka exiting the pit lane. He is now behind Jardier. Jardier has managed to jump Wolf Matuszka in the pit lane. That puts Jardier up into second place once Mikowski hits. And what this also means is you can see Chris Hooker's car right there, and now Jardier comes around the corner. There's 3.6 seconds between first and second. 12 minutes of the race to go. Jardier could still win this race.
Yeah, most indeed. Now with the main competition out of the way, like pretty much unreachable competition out of the way, he has Chris Hoka in front of him that needs to catch it. He goes wide there again. He's inches away from getting his car onto the gravel and throwing him off the circuit. As we see Hoka there, there's actually quite a big gap between those two drivers now. Actually, no, I'm thinking of the wrong driver. I'm thinking of Matuszka. So he's got past Matuszka due to the pit stop. So I don't know how I managed to get those mixed up. So he's definitely got the third position in the bag. He just needs to catch for second place. He's got a 3.5 second gap between them with 11 minutes to go. It's definitely doable. And with the leader still needing to make a pit stop, I would like to say Max Kalski has kept his nose out of trouble. We haven't really spoken about him much in the race, so to see him up there, albeit with a pit stop needed, is really commendable for that driver. So we're going to see a very close battle, especially in the last 5 minutes between Hoka and Jardier here.
Yeah, absolutely, and that is going to keep unraveling as we get into the last 10 minutes of this race. Jardier, the little engine that could, Cinderella story here, where he's going to bust through the entire lineup on the timing board, starting in close to the back of the pack, fighting his way all the way to the front, and now he's battling for first place. That is a amazing development. We still don't have an update on what happened to Savalainen, but we will get that to you as soon as we have it. As we are shaking out to the last battles going into the last 10 minutes here. We're currently following Dedicek in the 48. We also haven't talked about him much this race. He's been battling in the lower bottom of the timing board, currently right behind Garland, ahead of him. And this is currently the battle for 11th place, kind of trying to shake out those positions as they always matter in these mini championships. Even if it's outside the top 10, you want to be fighting for these positions and continue to put on a good effort and good race as they're going to come through the corkscrew here. I did want to report that there is was a speeding in the pit lane that was just cleared by Wuss down in 17th place for speeding in the pit lane. That is something that the game dishes out if you don't get your pit limiter on in time. So that is going to be a tough blow to Wuss down into 17th place, but that is the game dishing that out and not our stewarding team, Ryan.
Yeah, and just something I've been checking up on, actually. It's believed that the Kunos servers are actually struggling tonight. A couple of our stewards have had difficulty connecting to the race, so that could potentially be something that's going on in the background. Not entirely sure. I mean, not that Samir Brahimi lost connection for that. That was a PC crash on his end. But Savalainen definitely could have had an error like that. And actually, he has reconnected. He's down in 18th at the moment. 3 laps down. So unfortunately, Savalainen has had some form of disconnect. The Kunos servers apparently having a bit of difficulty tonight in the background, and that has unfortunately come to bite Savalainen as we look up towards the top of the pack at the moment. Mikowski still to pit, as is Wurst, Steven Wurst more specifically, and Jardier now 2.5 seconds between him and Chris Hoka. He's closed the gap in the last 4 minutes by 1.2 seconds. At this pace, he'll be on the back of Chris Hoka for the final lap.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't want to interrupt you there, Ryan, but on screen we just had 2 overtakes happen within 2 corners, with Dedek and Matias taking Gartland in the 101. So Dedek got up on the outside, coming up to one of the kind of straight parts before the 2 left-handers and going up to the straight up to the corkscrew. One of them went up on the outside, got Gartland a bit squirrely, and Matias went up on the inside of the next corner and pushed Garland out again. Of course, all very safe and clean racing, but absolutely fantastic to watch, even when battling down from 11th place.
Yeah, absolutely, and those overtakes are going to keep happening, actually, as Dedicek, we see him fighting for positions here, trying to fight his way into the bottom of the top 10, with only Lawrence ahead of him, though he does have some ground to gain for sure there, with a few seconds to gain on Lawrence. As we jump over to Felix, who's currently battling Antilla, coming into the corkscrew right on his tail with a early cut there, gained some time coming down the hill. These battles here are always super intense to watch because any little mistake as you're flying down that hill could gain you a bunch of time or lose you a bunch of time. As we jump back over to Jardier, who is getting caught up in a little bit of traffic on his way up to battle Chris Hoke. But the gap is obviously less than a second now, with just a little bit of traffic ahead of him. And this battle is going to keep unraveling into the last couple of laps of this race as the traffic gets out of the way, and we are on to the final battle. Jardier has fought for this since the first second, since the drop of the green flag, and now he has his targets locked, and he has Chris Hoke to fight for pole position, and this is going to prove to be a extremely exciting 5 minutes of GT3 racing.
It's definitely going to sadden Savalainen, who is actually that back marker there, 2 laps down now. Well, now when he was in the lead of the race, he is now watching the lead of the race in front of him. So even though Jardier could have lost a bit of time behind him, being one of the fastest guys on track, I don't think he would have lost too much, as he's still really close up behind Hoke there. Hopefully the first corner is definitely going to slow Hoke enough that he's going to be within touching range, and I reckon he's going to have him up to the straight up to the corkscrew, Ryan.
Yeah, he is, and Jardier, of course, now 0.6 of a second behind Chris Hoke. Chris Hoke, who has been an incredible driver in the past in the Porsche Cup races that I have had the pleasure of casting on, and now, of course, Jardier incredibly well known in the sim racing community as well. And obviously he loves this Porsche Cup car. He's had an incredible race from 20th at the start after that spin on the formation lap. What a redemption race this would be if he can get past Chris Hook. I mean, it's going to be an incredible comeback regardless of whether he gets past the number 99 car, but it's going to be even more special if he can pull it off with a win. My heart goes out to Savalainen and Samir Brahimi tonight. They've had the pace. They were incredibly fast. But the reality of it is that, you have to get to the end of the race without, technical issues if you're going to win. And although it'll be painful for Savalainen to watch, I'm sure he's going to come back next week. He's going to be just as strong, and he's just going to have to hope he doesn't get any problems next week. But the battle is right here at the moment. 0.3 of a second between Chris Hook and Jaroslav Honzik for the win. 4 minutes to go.
Yeah, and you can see Savalainen is currently the back marker in this three-way racing here on your screen. Savalainen obviously has the pace. I mean, that is not something worth disputing because he has the pace. He was leading this race. Losing it to a mechanical failure is going to be a tough blow, but that pressure is going to stay on them. As we go into the last couple of minutes of this race, Chris Hoke hanging on to first position, but Jardier is right on top of him, and that pressure is not going to let up whatsoever as they're getting back to the back straight here. The little adjustments on these corners is what's going to decide this race between them. As you can see right there, Chris Hoke gaining a lot of ground in that kink. There's so much speed to be won or lost in that moment as they come to the corkscrew, which is a rough ride for these cup cars, but it is making for some exciting racing to watch as they're coming hopefully around to the last corner here. Everyone has taken their mandatory pit stops, so this is your true timing board currently, with Savalainen right behind. Jardier getting a little bit sideways there and losing even more time. That is going to hurt as they're coming back to the Andretti hairpin. Every little mistake is going to cost them, and it's going to come down to Jardier possibly having a close to perfect lap if he even hopes to pass Chris Hoke ahead of him, and they're going to continue battling out this race. This is going to be probably one more lap after this one, judging by the pace. So they only have Jardier only has a couple more opportunities to make this overtake happen, and Chris Hoke is going to punish him every time he makes even the slightest error.
Yeah, I imagine coming from the back, as we keep mentioning, and then getting in second place with first place right in front of you is going to play with your head a little bit, and you're going to start making little mistakes here and there that we've been seeing. You don't know whether that's him being nervous or whether the car is truly knackered out after passing what is the entire field pretty much, apart from one guy, actually apart from 3 guys, so the leader and the 2 disconnects that we have had. Savalainen is pulling a little bit back from these 2 leading cars. He was getting close. I think he was thinking about overtaking the leaders back and he can get his lap back, but I think at the moment he is just looking as Chris actually goes defensive on the inside, so they're definitely close enough, and they actually touch. You can see a bit of damage on the back rear side of Hoka's car, and that's definitely going to damage Jardier's car as well, but they are definitely close enough. This is the last lap on the, according to the game, you can see on the right hand side just above Honzik's name there. So last lap, he has to make the move on this lap or else he comes second, and that would not be as good a story as coming from the back of the grid, would it, Ryan?
No, it definitely wouldn't. And Jardier, I think he realised, you know, Chris Uka maybe a bit slow into the corner, and Jardier, you know, going much quicker. He had a slight tap on the back of Chris Uka, but he backed off to say, look, you know, I'm not going to take the position like this. And fair play to him, of course, Jardier playing very, very fair as well, and good sportsmanship as well. Savalainen keeping a very good view of this race, it has to be said, even though he is down in 18th place. Jardier now, as they come up towards the corkscrew for the final time. The timer will run out before they get to the end of this lap. As Thomas said, this is the final lap. We come to the top of the corkscrew. Down we go. Jardier following Chris Uka. He's going to make a move, surely getting really, really close. I think there was also a minor touch there between him and Chris Uka. Chris is going to have to hold on for 2 more corners and a straight here. Jardier maybe lost the momentum with that slight contact. He's going to go for 1 more move into the final corner. Goes wide, tries to get the switchback and a better drive out of the corner as they come up towards the final time. It's going to be a drag race to the end. And it's going to be Jaroslav Honzik by 16 thousandths of a second.
That's absolutely insane. He definitely went for the right move, coming from that cutback. I think Chris Hoka would have got a better run if he'd managed to go out on the outside there, but Jardier had it cut off. He managed to get the outside. He did have to brake a little bit, so he didn't hit the back of Chris, but he still had enough momentum to get to the end, and that is a last to first challenge with Jardier. His chat is probably going mad. He's probably sweating buckets, and he's going to need to lie down.
Oh my gosh, that's such an exciting race to finish. The go side by side to the end, the photo moment, the draw of the line, Jardier taking it by thousandths of a second. That is such a tight race. That smart move in the last corner. He took it a little bit wide and just slingshot out of that last corner in a way that Chris Hoka probably wasn't expecting, and just had the momentum that could not be matched. That is just, oh my God, that's insane to comment on. We saw him, Jardier, fight through the entire pack, outpace, outplay, outrace every single driver on this lineup, just about, and to get the win, that has got to be a huge moment for him. That is going in his books and something that he will remember for a very long time.
I said on Saturday when I commentated on the Ferrari-Lamborghini race that I had been on one of the best casts of a race I had ever seen. Nick, you were there alongside me. Jesse Lee was also alongside me for that one. I think that comeback drive I've just seen from Jardier has broken that best race I've ever had the pleasure of casting again. That is the most incredible comeback I've seen, not just in a sim race, in any race, period. Real life motorsport or virtual, it does not compare. That was an incredible comeback from Jardier, all the way down from 20th on the first lap. And I'm pretty sure that the chat right now in Jardier's stream is going absolutely ballistic. It was Chris Uka who would take second place, and I believe Wurst Matuszka rounded out the top 3. But that is an incredible example of how great these Porsche Cup races are and how great the stories can be in these kinds of sim races. And that is going to be a race that sits with Jardier for a very long time.
Yeah, right now I'd definitely love to interview Jardia, but he's probably basking in his own sweat and congratulating himself, as well as about 1,000 people watching him right now. So absolutely well done to him. And of course, this is only half the championship, so we still have 2 more races to go. So please join us next week at 7:30 again, sharpish, and we will be hoping to bring you the same amount of ups and downs that we've been doing for the rest of the season so far.
Yes, absolutely. We are actually cutting to Zandvoort next week. That is going to be your 3rd race in this mini championship. Jardia taking a huge win at Laguna Seca today that he will be carrying into the 3rd race. And this is proving to be a mini, but not mini on the excitement levels. As we've proven in these cup cars, the drivers actually voted to do this in the cup cars at the beginning of this championship, and I have to say that was the right call to make some exciting racing that is proving to be a even playing field for these high-level racers, and I hope to see you next week. Ryan, take us out.
Yeah, thank you very much, Nick and Thomas, for joining me here in the Combox. Thank you very much to our stewards for all the work they have put in behind the scenes in the stewarding box over above us. And thank you very much to all the drivers and all the people in the chat and everyone watching here today. It has been an absolute pleasure to bring this race to you. Like Nick said, we will be back next week for Zandvoort on the 29th of June. 7:30 BST is when the stream goes live here at RCI Racing on YouTube. We have our Friday Championships kicking off in July. 3rd of July is when the first set of Friday Championship splits kick off, and then the following ones kick off on July the 10th. We also have a 6-hour Barcelona race coming up in August. The pre-qualifying for that event is going to open fairly soon, so if you want to get involved in any of the amazing racing we've got going on here, make sure to use the Discord link in the description below. We'd love to have you down here, but thank you very much for the support. We will be back next week on the 29th of June for Zandvoort. Thank you very much for all your support tonight, and we look forward to seeing you again.